It's 6 in the morning. I'm just going to go off to a Kung Fu class. I've got to be really, really quiet. Right, good morning. I can be a little bit louder now. First things first, don't look at your phone when you're driving, and in the UK you can wear earphones when you're driving. I'm going to get that out of the way now, but obviously pay attention to the road. Okay, right, we've got that done. I've got to drive to a Kung Fu class. I'm going to be listening to Dreaming Spanish. What I tend to do is get a video that is the length of my journey, pop in the old ear broadlers. Let's get to my Kung Fu class, and I will be listening to Pablo talk about cryptocurrencies.
Puede cambiar, se pueden cambiar las propiedades del Bitcoin, pero por ahora tiene esta serie.
So Kung Fu's done. I will be heading home, but I'm going to do something very, very important before we get there. What shall I listen to on the way home? So what I often do is, if I'm using Dreaming Spanish, if you're not using Dreaming Spanish, you're not learning Spanish, whatever, you can still do this with YouTube and other things like that. The reason I often play it through their website is because it just automatically tracks my hours. But it's the same, if I'm listening to a podcast or something like that, I start my journey, I check what the time is, you just happen to do it automatically once you get the habit, or you can just see on your podcast how long you've been listening to it and then make a note of it on your however you track your hours. So what shall we listen to? Oh, okay. The evolution of computer interfaces. What I would say before we get going, when it comes to getting the habit for all this kind of stuff, you don't necessarily go to what my day looks like today and go, my entire life must now be devoted to learning this language. That's not how it works, because if you're still getting the habit, you actually just need to do a little bit every day, and then slowly it encroaches on your life, provided you enjoy it, and then there is more dopamine and serotonin, whichever it is, to make you enjoy it, and then you add more and more into your life. So don't feel like watching this video you go, God, I can't possibly do all of that in a day, my brain will be fried. Especially if you're a beginner, just do what you can do. That's fine. Just get the habit of doing something every day. I don't think about listening to stuff all the time now, because that's just what I do all the time. But what I would say is I'm not immersing in native content, because my level of understanding for that isn't high enough. And therefore my time that I can spend getting input is finite. I've only got a certain amount of it, and therefore if I'm spending time listening to stuff I don't really understand, I'm not getting as much in terms of new words and stuff. Obviously there's a ton of new words, but I can't get them from the context, especially if I'm relying on listening alone.
Hola, buenas. Hoy os voy a hablar de los cambios que ha habido en las interfaces de usuario en los últimos 10 años.
So it's 9:45. I work shifts. So today is one of those days where I start work at 2 o'clock. If I was working in the morning, I would just swap everything else around. So I would do my drive to work, get my input there, work, no input, drive home, get more input, Kung Fu class in the evening, get input on the drive to work, and read a book before bed. So I would be doing exactly the same things, just the order has changed. So I don't want to give you the impression that I sit around all day studying a language and that's it, because that's not the case. And on my input so far, I have got 58 minutes of Spanish tracked. I don't track my reading, and part of my rationale for that is because a lot of my listening as viewer, you will well know, I'm doing stuff, and so it's not like I'm literally sitting in the corner of the room only listening to something and getting 100% of the language through that. I'm walking the dog, I'm driving the car, I'm doing the dishes, whatever, and because of that my attention isn't 100% on that, but I'll be honest, I am really actively listening. I went for an hour dog walk yesterday and walking the dog and trying to intently listen to Spanish for an hour. My brain was absolutely fried. So I am actively trying to listen, but I know some people's definition that will come under passive listening because I'm doing other stuff, but I'm trying to listen when I'm doing the other stuff. If the stuff I'm doing is more complicated, like doing the shopping, for example, I have to use my brain for that, and I won't count those hours. And in fact, I probably don't listen to. So, what shall I choose? I'm going to say conversations in Spanish and other languages. So that's what that looks like. So I'm going to pop that on, and we're going to take the dog out. Ralph, she's going to walk. Go on.
Camila, bienvenida a nuestro podcast de I Speak Spanish. Yo hablo español. Es un placer tener esta conversación contigo y compartir con otras personas que aprenden español alrededor del mundo, por todo el mundo, tu experiencia.
That was close. Okay, so the dog walk is done. Dog is sitting over there, well, lying over there, being tired and happy, so that's a good thing. I'm going to now track the 37 minutes I just listened to, and I'm going to put that into my Dreamy Spanish now, just where I can track my hours. But just because I was messing about with the camera whilst I was doing the dog walk, I'm going to now listen, or watch rather, on YouTube, Luisito Comunica, because his videos are really interesting and I can understand that my current level of Spanish, just because I was messing about with the camera, my focus wasn't 100% on listening to the podcast I was listening to. So I'm going to get a bit more input now. I'm not going to track it, and then hopefully that'll even out over the period of time. And then after this, I'll do something a bit more productive.
Ya desde ahorita nos empezamos a encontrar con su caparazón. Pues bueno, ahorita les voy platicando más cositas.
Right, friends, it is now 11:30. 95 minutes of input today from the drive and the dog walk. I've evened that out by watching something. I wouldn't necessarily always sit down and watch something, but sometimes I might. Half an hour of untracked reading. So, but for how I'm doing, I'm going to say 95 minutes. Next on my agenda today is I've got to do an intro for a video. I actually haven't got a lot of time to do it, so it might be a bit rushed, but done is better than perfect, right? So I'm going to have to get that done now. Sorry about the audio quality, but so I've done a bit of filming. It's not perfect, but it will be good enough for now. Sadly, I still have to go and earn some actual money. Time to make some food and iron a shirt and then go to work in the next half an hour. So I'll be honest with you, friends, I'm running a little bit later than expected. 95 minutes of Spanish tracked so far. It's now 1:15. I am going to listen to Interviewing an Entrepreneur on Dreamy Spanish. So let's find out what this Spanish entrepreneur has got to say on my way to work.
Tú estás en Barcelona ahora mismo.
Sí, bueno, muy cerca, estoy en el Vallès. Trabajamos sobre todo lo que es educación.
Right, I've just got to work and it looks like it's absolutely going to chuck it down. So hopefully I don't get soaked. I won't be needing those. I'm going to go to work and I'll see you in 8 hours for a bit more input. Well, friends, I've had a very, very long day. You can tell it's dark and it's time to go home. My battery's about to also run out on my camera, so I'm going to make this short and sweet. In total, I have clocked up 129 minutes it says, and I'm about to finish off my day by listening to a little bit of a YouTube video on the way home. Again, not looking at the screen for road safety purposes. I'm going to listen to some nerdy stuff. Yes, we want to listen to stuff that is broadly comprehensible, and that's how I find I pick up the language rather than going for stuff that is too hard. And every so often, just for motivation, I will mix in some stuff that I'm genuinely interested in, or stuff that entertains me or whatever. And whilst my level of understanding might be a little bit lower, that helps with the motivation to keep going. So I'm just going to listen to some nerdy stuff on YouTube about a war in the far future, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been interesting in some kind of way. Every day is different. Let me know what your language learning routine is, if you have anything like a routine. I don't have much of one. In the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't done that already. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Por fin hemos llegado al momento que todos estábamos esperando. La herejía de Horus, el capítulo más infame de toda la historia imperial.